Hello, everybody. Welcome to the July 10th, 2026 version of Lunch with the Mayor. I'm Mayor Ryan Daniel here in the city of Columbia City, and I want to welcome you to our hour-long chat session, if you will. I want to just tell you, as always, if you have questions or thoughts or comments that you want to put them in the chat, if you are watching a live stream on Facebook, go ahead and please do that. I'll be happy to answer those things or at least address some of those things. If you're watching later on YouTube, obviously, as always, you can contact me at rdaniel@columbiacity.net. You can call our office at 260-248-5111. Or certainly you can contact me on social media, especially on Facebook at the Mayor Ryan L. Daniel page. So with that, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead. This is going to really just be an update session, but because it's a hot topic, I'm happy to talk about the amphitheater again, and I'll try to give a little bit more information and details on that. So stick around for a little bit on the amphitheater. We'll talk through that again. And just to kind of give additional information on that. So before we get into that, though, I want to just give you some updates of different projects that are happening in the city. First one is the Blue River Trail South project. I unfortunately don't have any project updates on that. I know we are working with the railroad on getting some of those details taken care of. Unfortunately, and while we are seeing a little bit of progress, effectively the trail's done. There's just some touch-up things that we have to do. So that's kind of what we're working on there. So let's see. So former Whitley County Jail. I know there's been some questions about that as well. As you may remember, we did get a proposal in. The Redevelopment Commission rejected that proposal. So the reason for that was it was too much of a financial ask. And so we went into a 30-day quiet period. And now we are going to start negotiating with potential developers again here very shortly. So we are now out of that 30-day quiet period and are starting to work on what negotiations could look like for the jail. And again, the point of it is not let's just unload it. The point of it is let's find something that's going to be beneficial to Columbia City and our downtown long term on that really crucial piece of property. So I'm excited about that once we finally get there. So thank you for that. Dog park. Okay, so last time I had said we're working on the locking mechanisms. That is true. Unfortunately, the person or the company we're working with, that individual left that company. And so now we kind of had to start back at square one a little bit. So we got a little bit of a delay in the dog park from what we were expecting. However, we are working through those issues. We still hope to have this done, obviously, hopefully by fall, but fall's getting real close here. So we're still working through those issues. It has not been on the park side or on the city side. It has been on the contractor side. So we are working through those things. Jeffrey Drive, water main reconstruction, if you will. That project has now been completed. I drove down there the other day, and it looks like there's a fair amount of grass that's starting to grow up through that area. So I think that's a positive thing. That's all water main. That's all drinking water main, if you will. Westgate Phase 3 reconstruction. We did award the bid for the Fleming Excavating. Westgate is, when I say Westgate Phase 3, it's everything basically just a tick west of Westgate Avenue, everything west of there. So Royals in there and Royal Street, Niles Street are both in there, plus the rest of Westgate Avenue. Those are part of that Phase 3, and that will be the final phase of the Westgate reconstruction project. As a reminder, Westgate was a project brought in, or a neighborhood that was brought in back in the 90s. And while they were given water and sewer, there was not any new curb, sidewalks, stormwater, all, streets, etc., that were put in there significantly, let's say. And so that's our kind of trying to fix history, if you will. So anyways, we did award the bid to Fleming back in May, I think. And unfortunately, NIPSCO has been really slow to get to those gas line relocations. So we've been bumping them to try to get the gas line relocated in those areas. And once that happens, then the timeline will be established with the contractor so that we can have the public meetings and we can do all that kind of stuff with the neighborhood. So just stay tuned. If you live in Westgate, stay tuned. We're working on it. We're pushing as hard as we can, but we're kind of at NIPSCO's mercy right now. So, hi, Dee Dee. Thanks for your comments there. Downtown project, as you know, we had a downtown study done a couple of years ago, and now we're doing the preliminary engineering report for the downtown reconstruction project. This is a project that's kind of been in the works for a while. We had in the 90s under Mayor Techmeyer, we had a downtown revitalization project that took place. What you see downtown is really kind of a culmination of that project, and now we're at the point where our infrastructure is getting tired. There was some of the underground infrastructure that wasn't necessarily addressed in that project. We have stormwater that we need to extend stormwater lines to capture that rather than it going to the sewer plant. And instead, we'll kind of send it to the river. So there's some things like that we want to get addressed further. Obviously, you have the aesthetic value of street lights and garbage cans and lamp post. Well, I guess same thing as the street lights, but also sidewalks and the bump outs and ways in which we can calm traffic and also enliven downtown a little bit more. We have a little plaza area that we're talking through a little bit. We are planning, just for your FYI, we are planning to get rid of the traffic light at Chauncey Street and turn it into a stoplight. I'm sorry, try again, a stop sign. And the reason for that is, again, a traffic calming device. Downtown, I don't want to pontificate too much here, but downtowns originally were created for the purpose of people walking, people connecting, people shopping. And in the 50s and 60s on, we kind of renegotiated that toward cars. And so we got really comfortable with the idea of like, hey, I need to be able to park right up against the storefront. And don't get me wrong, if you're an elderly individual or you're disabled or you have some other reason to park up front, you're still going to be able to do that, okay? But we resituated our downtowns to be more focused on cars, which means that individuals, when they came downtown, they were more focused on, can I get a parking spot, than let me leisurely walk throughout the downtown. Let me connect with the business owners. Let me connect with other people, right? Not saying it didn't happen. That's just part of it. So one of the things that we're really focusing on this is getting back to the heart of downtown, which is let's try to figure out ways to calm traffic. Let's try to find ways to slow traffic down, and let's figure out ways in which we can we can help people connect better with their community, with each other, with the businesses. And so I'm really excited about the potential plans for that. They are not finalized. It is a preliminary engineering report. It is not a finalized plan, but we are working toward that. So, so anyways, long story short is that is the downtown plan. We are looking at that above ground and underground infrastructure, which is why we have to do that preliminary engineering report, because we're talking sewer and water and stormwater and electric and streets and curbs and sidewalks and all the extra amenities, like I said, like garbage cans and street lamps and all that kind of fun stuff. So we're working through that. Be patient with us. I'll be happy to give you updates when we get updates on that. America 250. Thank you so much for coming out for the Stars, Stripes, and Symphony event, for coming out to our Independence celebration on July 3rd at the park, and for the time capsule opening and closing. And I'll talk about the time capsule here in a moment. But we had great participation. That Stars, Stripes, and Symphony event was just really, really, really neat. If you missed it, I do think the organizers, or at least some of the individuals, are planning to maybe have it again next year, because I think it was super, super successful, even though it was a bajillion degrees outside, and even though the sun was still blazing, although the buildings did give a bit of a shade structure, which was nice. We had a great turnout, and from the Whitco marching band to the Creole band to the different readers and the historical readers, if you will, and the handbell choir, and just so many people, the spaces for veterans, really, really cool stuff. So long story short is that went super well, and I anticipate that to come next year. Again, the Independence Day celebration at the park, kind of a weird, sort of a weird day because it was super hot, and then we had like a storm without water, a storm without rain and thunder and stuff. I don't think there was thunder and lightning. There may have been, but we had a lot of wind, and a cold front came through and actually really chilled down the temperature a lot. I think it went from like 93 down to 75. And so the park was darn near perfect weather for the fireworks. Vendors seemed to be really happy. I think they sold out of a lot of things. Um, the bounce houses were active. The music was wonderful. Thanks to the band Cheyenne for their work on that. And then I think the fireworks display went really, really well. So thank you to Camtor for their work as well. So, anyways, that, and then of course the time capsule was wonderful. Gene, I see your comment. I will get to that. Just give me a moment here. So the time capsule was really, really cool. And I know that, again, hindsight is 2020, so we can always go back and say, oh, I wish we could have done this or did this a little bit differently or things like that. But really cool. I mean, I'm beyond honored that I got to be the mayor at a time where we get to open a 50-year time capsule. So if you didn't watch the video, it is on our YouTube page. It is also, I think, still on Facebook, although Facebook gets rid of videos every, I think it's 60 days or 30 days or something. But nevertheless, great turnout by individuals. It was hot. I changed a shirt myself, a shirt and an undershirt, because it was smoking. But we opened the time, well, so we flipped the concrete box. We took the time capsule out, and actually it kind of just sat there, which was amazing because it made it so much easier. I thought we'd have to pull and push, and that didn't happen. Brought it over to the table. County historian Jennifer Zartman Romano. So I pried it open. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen, so we pried it open. I will tell you it was damp. Definitely smelled like it had been 50 years since that had been opened. But our county historian took things out and kind of showed them around a little bit. But there was a lot in, I'll say, the bottom third of the time capsule that was very wet. That if she would have taken it out, I think it would have disintegrated. So I will tell you that all of those materials have been taken to, actually that day, after everyone went to the other time capsule, that day, all of those materials were taken to the Whitley County Historical Society. I literally was there earlier this week to record a podcast, which is called Whispers, I think Whispers of the Past. So if you look that up on where podcasts are, that's our Historical Society's podcast. But nevertheless, they're trying to, I was there earlier, so they are trying to figure out exactly how to preserve those documents. And it's a couple of things. Number one is they want to preserve them, obviously, because it's 50 years. They also have to be careful not to introduce mold or spores or things like that to the other collections that they have there. And so it really is a balancing act. I would just be very candid with you to say, I think it's going to be, I think at the time capsule event, I said 2 to 3 months. I would guess it's probably going to be slightly longer than that before all the materials are on display. And I'm just being real with you, is that I would, I'm the kind of guy that would rather be right than be fast. And I think that's the tact that the Historical Museum is taking, is they want to be right about how they do it instead of being fast to get it out quickly. So I will tell you that happened, and it was damp. And there may be a lot of reasons for that. The cap itself, I don't know, it was sealed with like a sealant of some sort. I just don't know that there was enough sealant on it for sure. That's part of the reason for moisture. When we moved the time capsule from where it was on the sidewalk over to the concrete pad that we had poured there, that could have created some additional moisture. Who knows? Okay, who knows? But at the end of the day, that is what is happening with the former time capsule materials. The new time capsule we planted on the courthouse square. Appreciate so many people who led and served in that project. It's a beautiful brick box that actually matches the brick of the jail, which is kind of cool. Concrete pad with brick box, and then there's a metal box that the time capsule is that was placed inside the, hold on a second. Oh, yeah, that was placed inside the actual brick box. And so that's a really cool thing where, and then a cap was placed on top, and that is or will be sealed. I don't know if it's done yet. I'm assuming it has been. And so long story short is that's happening. So we kind of split it up. City did ours, county did theirs, but they're both ours, if that makes sense. So all that to say, great turnout, wonderful turnout. And then the coolest part for me personally was that at the end of the closing of the new time capsule, as many people that were there as possible got in a picture behind the time capsule. And I think that is going to be a cool part of history that will be at the Historical Museum, that will be in my brain for the rest of my life, of all the people that came out for that. So that's what I'll say about America 250. One last thing I'll mention about that is congratulations to the Bienhof, Biggs, Beitzel, and Schaefer families on their wins in the decorating contest. The Bienhof family lives on Van Buren Street in the, I'm going to say 500 or 600 block there, kind of if you're going west to east, approaching Madison, on the south side of the street. It looks like a stinking magazine. Like they've done an amazing job of getting the Independence Day flair. Hey, there's Brittany. Congratulations to you as well. And so anyways, all of these individuals made a really, really great decoration of their home and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate all that and participation in the decorating contest. Beautiful displays around the city. Okay, I'm going to pause because Gene has a question. Says we need some sidewalks along Main Street past Pizza King and Line Street out that way. So I know that there are some sidewalks past Pizza King, but I understand. I will say, again, this has been something that the state Department of Transportation has been a little more leery on. There has been, again, that's a state road that leads to the US 30, and they really try hard to keep people away from US 30. However, I will also tell you that as we've discussed the future of US 30, one of the things that I have been very, very adamant on, and I think has been shown in our plans and all that kind of stuff, is that we have some kind of a connector for walkers and bikers across US 30 on State Road 9. So if and when State Road 9 becomes an interchange in the future, which is A, not planned, B, we've not been notified of any work past basically 600 East. All of that kind of stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, State Road 9, we have made it really clear that we want to have walking and biking availability to get across State Road 9. Fully understanding that there is a trail extension that does go through Morshes Park, over the river, through the woods, and up toward Damoni Grimes and Kroger. So there is a way to get back and forth. However, I understand it's also out of the way. And there are also people that are creating their own path. And so I fully understand that there may be a necessity for that, okay? And I'm not trying to poo-poo that. I'm just saying that the Department of Transportation has been a little more leery on extending sidewalks toward US 30. So I get it completely, Gene, and I appreciate what you're saying there. I think once US 30 goes in, I think you will see sidewalks that will connect across US 30 to the McDonald's and to the Kroger and to Walmart and to all those areas. It is interesting that we have some areas that have sidewalk, but not the whole way. And actually, when we did Wooddale's neighborhood reconstruction project, just like we're doing Westgate, we actually did put in a kind of a trail sidewalk there to connect Wooddale with Cambridge Crossing there as well to try to get that connection. I understand you completely, Jean. So she says that doesn't help the people crossing mornings and evenings to work. Totally understand. Completely agree with you. There's even been discussions in the past about having some kind of a big crosswalk that would go across. I think at the end of the day, INDOT is not really interested in any of those things until US 30 kind of grows up, if you will. So I appreciate it. Totally understand. I see it too. I see that that walking path, the that goes by Arby's, and I see people crossing at 109 all the time. So I totally understand and appreciate your comments there. So okay, thank you to the 34-ish people that are now a part of this program. We're going to go ahead and dive into the hot topic of the day, apparently, which is, or of the week or month or whatever, which is the amphitheater. So let's lay some groundwork, shall we? So in 2020, actually 2019 into 2020, we knew that we were getting the high school property, the former high school property, Eagle Park. And so knowing that we were going to get Eagle Park, we commissioned a study to figure out from the public as to what they want to see. So there was a whole list of different activities, different structures, different ideas, if you will, of what people want to see in the actual parks area. And that survey was done. I think we had, I don't know if we had like 1,100 or 1,200 people take that survey with, and actually I can find that really, really quick. And we had over 50, I think it was 54% of individuals who had said, oh, here it is, who had said that they really wanted performance space, an amphitheater. Actually, 59% actually of people that said they wanted a performance space. We had 1,143 people take the survey, and 49% of those people were in the city limits, 45% were outside the city limits, but within Whitley County, and you had 6% from outside Whitley County. And I'm assuming those are people that work here or something, or worked here. I'm not 100% sure, but nevertheless, the point is that that was the number one thing. 59% said performance space was number one, 45% pavilion. Then there was indoor recreational facility. Dog park was at 37%. Hiking and nature trails 32%. Playground 27%. Skating, picnics. You had swimming in there, etc. So long story short is that was what we got. That was people's response, residents' response to what do you want to see. So from that, we created, and actually in that plan, we created a master plan for Eagle Park. In that master plan, it lays out different phases. Now, the phases that we are doing are not the same phases of what is in that plan because, like anything, we got to be a little more agile. Obviously, COVID changed some things. We needed to make sure that we were doing it in a cost-effective way, and we didn't have, well, I've already gotten rid of it, but we didn't have the money to do all of, let's say, phase one and all of phase two and all of phase three, if you will. So all of phase one, actually there was 5 phases specifically. All of phase one was $11.5 million, okay? That was the skate park, that was an east-west road, it was performance venue, etc. Now, the skate park and the performance venue itself, plus some of the stormwater infrastructure and things like that. Keep in mind, those are 2019, early 2020 numbers. Obviously, we all know what happened with COVID and how numbers spiked up. But I say all that just to give the groundwork of, so we're going to be in the, we're probably going to be in the 8-ish million maybe range when you add in everything we've done with pickleball courts and the swing and the skate park and what we're planning for the amphitheater. And I'll get to the cost here in a moment, but that was the phased out original design. So people, our residents, are the ones that really wanted this venue, if you will, performance venue. Right now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a arts guy. I'm a music guy. I love, I was in show choir as a kid. I loved performing. I've been in multiple musicals and plays. I'm an arts guy. So this is right up my alley. It's something I love very, very deeply. But this was not a Ryan Daniel project. This was a project that was encouraged by our residents. So what did we do? We went and got a preliminary plan of action, a preliminary schematic of what the design of the amphitheater could cost. This was after we did the skate park, after we did the pickleball courts, after we did the first set of swings. And so we got a preliminary estimate and a preliminary kind of engineering report of what it was going to look like. So we said, okay, do we have the bonding capacity to do that based on current revenues, current food and beverage tax revenues and or additional tax revenues, if you will? And the answer was yes. Yes, we do. So we are now having the final design of the project be done right now. If I'm a resident, one of the questions I'm asking is, why did the city put out multiple documents that are very confusing? It didn't really say anything very specific as a way to roll out the project. Well, at the end of the day, this really isn't the first rollout of the project. We've talked about this project for, I don't know, a long time. I think last year was the first where I actually put the information out that we're working on an amphitheater. But nevertheless, this is the first steps we've really taken, I guess, in a more formal manner, right? So the information about the leasing, I've talked about it in previous Lunch with the Mayor, so a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we're doing a build, operate, transfer process, which is different than our typical process of design, bid, build. So in typical design, bid, build, you design the project, you bid it out to contractors, and then you have those contractors build it. In build, operate, transfer, it's a scenario where we give the project to an individual. They contract with certain subcontractors, or a company, if you will. They contract certain contractors. It makes it much more ability to say, hey, we're going to maybe downscale this project. Hey, we want to change this a little bit. We want to do this. When we do design, bid, build, whatever's designed is what's bid on, and whatever's bid on is built. So there's not a lot of room for changing of the structure or to downgrade the cost or things like that, where with the build, operate, transfer process, we are able to downscale cost, upgrade certain things, change how we want to do this, change how we want to do that along the way. So it makes it a lot easier. However, the BOT process makes it so that we have to do a lease structure. Now, understand fully, and by the way, thanks to all of you that are sticking around with me. I know this is getting into the weeds a lot, but I think it's really important to understand. So for the leasing structure portion of this, basically the contractor, if you will, takes on the risk, if you will. Now we back that risk with our bonding capacity, but effectively they take on the risk and then they lease the facility back to us. Now, it's not going to be something where that leasing structure is a long-term thing. It's going to be leased back to us for kind of the minimum term, and then it'll be handed over to us. It does not mean that they're going to hold on to it. It does not mean, every company that would build this amphitheater is going to profit something, or they wouldn't be in business, right? But ultimately, it's not going to be like they're going to fleece us or anything like that. Like we are working really, really hard to keep that number down. The other question I've gotten a lot is well, based on that leasing document, it could be, I've even heard like $37 million. There ain't no chance on God's green earth that I would approve a $37 million amphitheater project, okay? Like right now, our preliminary number is somewhere around the 6 million range, and it's probably going to go down, just full disclosure. And that is without any grant funding. That is without any sponsorship funding. That is without anything like that, okay? The reason we had to put out the document about leasing and the document about the building corporation, which I'll get to in a moment, is because that's a part of the timing process of this, okay? Now, keep in mind, again, we do not have a final design of the amphitheater yet. We have preliminary estimates of dollars, and we have preliminary design. We do not have final design, and we don't have final numbers, okay? I bring that up because the city council has not approved this project because they don't have a final number. They have approved the process up to this point, okay? But they have not approved the final number. That will come in a future city council meeting that will be publicized, that people can come and give their opinions and all that kind of stuff. But again, I want to go back to the whole purpose behind why we're doing it is to try to be more nimble, to try to save taxpayer dollars, to try to be thoughtful about how we do a project. But I also made it really clear to our contractor that I don't want an amphitheater that you can go to any other community and see. Now, that doesn't mean we have to be the most luxurious. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I didn't want an off-the-shelf amphitheater that that does nothing to set us apart from the Auburns, Angolas, Bluftons, Decatur's, Huntingtons, Wabashes, whatever, right? Like Columbia City has a unique identity, and one of the things that from day one that I have really felt convicted on in a lot of ways is that our community struggles to have an identity in public, right? Like in the public facing, it's hard to tell the difference between Columbia City and Bluffton and Decatur, etc. And I think we need to do a better job as a city of making sure that that identity is really clear and that it isn't as blending of these other cities, okay? But I also want to support the rich history of that property, right? It was Columbia City High School for 60 some years. And there are people that have really deep emotional and physical connections to that space. And so what we've been trying to do is create an amphitheater that's going to honor that space. It's going to be a place that brings people together like the school did, although by force, but still bring people together, right? And to really enjoy life here in Columbia City, as well as be something that people can come and go, wow, this is a really cool place. I may, no wonder people are moving here, right? So building corporation. And then again, if you have questions about this, go ahead and put it in there. Becky, I see your comment. I'll be happy to answer that here shortly. I actually do have an update on that. But if you have questions about the amphitheater and you're watching live, please put it in there. I'd be happy to try to answer those. Building corporation. So because we are bonding, so the state of Indiana has a certain layer or a certain complex formula that decides here is how much a city can bond at one specific time, okay? That bonding capacity, I think, is like 2% of the assessed valuation. No, it's not. Yeah, maybe it's a formula, okay? And I'm not going to get into the weeds because y'all don't care about that. But here's the purpose, and here's the reason I'm telling you is that the building corporation is needed to be established in order to bond for a larger project. Now, this project may end up being $6 million. It could end up being $5 million, could end up being $4 million, or maybe less, depending on what our sponsorships look like and donations and all the things that come along with that, not to mention grants. But we have to have that building corporation established. And this really isn't that different than the school corporation when they created a building corporation for the new high school, right? It's not that different than the library who created a building corporation for the library when they built that. So anytime you have a big public infrastructure type project or a public building project, typically you're going to have a building corporation, okay? The building corporation is effectively the leasing agent. So the company will effectively lease the building to the building corporation. The city will pay the building corporation to pay the bonds. The building corporation they don't make money. Building corporation is a pass-through organization. And again, the whole purpose behind this is so that we can utilize the building corporation for the bonding purposes. Nobody else is getting rich. Nobody is being screwed in this. Let's see, what else have I heard? Is that it's unelected individuals. Well, that's true, but they are appointed individuals that only get their authority by the elected individuals. And their authority is only to effectively pay the bonds on the project. So they're not making decisions about where tax dollars are going to or coming from. They're not making decisions on what sources of funding we are paying for these bonds from. That is all on the city council and the mayor, okay? Hopefully that clears that up a little bit. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding preachy. I'm not. I've been beat up a little bit over the last couple of weeks, as you know, about this. But I think a lot of it's just misunderstanding or misinformation. Now, it's perfectly fine if you disagree that we shouldn't be spending that kind of money on an amphitheater. Totally understand. It's just a difference of philosophy, and that's perfectly fine. But I want to make it super clear, because I've talked about it a couple of times, but I will say it clear one more time, is number one, we are not raising property taxes for this, and this has nothing to do with the rise in assessments of homesteads across the state of Indiana and across Columbia City. The rise in homesteads have happened because of the formula the state legislature set up on how the Whitley County assessor assesses property. And by the way, if you missed that special Lunch with the Mayor program that I had with the assessor. Totally suggest watching it. It's really, really informative, but I'm getting off task. Point of the matter is that this project will not raise your property taxes. Period. End of story. Further, it will not raise your food and beverage tax. The food and beverage tax was created specifically in order to pay for projects at Eagle Park. The food and beverage tax money is collected 1 cent on every dollar spent for food and beverages, basically hot food, cold beverages, if you will, that are not in a pre-sealed container. So if you go to a restaurant, you're going to pay the food and beverage tax. If you stop at a gas station and you get a hot dog, you're going to pay food and beverage tax on that, right? Again, 1 cent on every dollar, which means for a $5, Happy Meal, if you will, you're paying 5 cents. On a $50 steak, you're paying 50 cents. Okay, really easy math to do on that. But a lot of people are coming through Columbia City paying a food and beverage tax right now that don't live here. And so it was a way in which we can capture additional revenue without placing an additional property or income tax burden on residents. Our analysis is showing that the majority of the cost of the amphitheater bond payment is going to be able to pay for the bond specifically. Okay. So I just say that to say that again, it goes to the purpose of why the council and I passed the food and beverage tax, why we got it, why the legislature allowed us to pass it is to pay for this kind of project. So Brad says, will the food and beverage tax go away after the park is paid off? So actually, it'll go off before then. Right now, so when the state established the food and beverage tax, they established it for a 20-year timeline. Our city ordinance establishes it for a 20-year timeline. So I believe in 2045, I think, is when, because I think we established it in 24. So 2045, January 2045 is when the food and beverage tax will drop off. We cannot re-up it as the city council. Only the state legislature could re-up it. And again, that would be on that mayor and that council to make that determination. That is not my job to understand, to take that on. But at the end of the day, the point that matter, to answer your question, Brad, is that yes, no, and yes. No, the park won't be completed in 20 years, I don't believe. But that food and beverage tax will go away after 20 years. Unless the council and mayor at that time lobbied the legislature, who then passed something that then allowed the council and mayor to pass things, then would have to go through all of the public processes again. Again, that's not my decision. That's not something I'm deciding. It's not something this council is deciding. It'll be then. Hopefully that answers your question. So just hopefully nip this real quick. Keith says, Big Meow needs another place to play. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, Justin Bieber, I don't think will ever make it on stage. So thanks for that, Keith. So, but I will tell you this. When the final design is completed and the final number is decided, all of that will go in front of the city council in a public meeting. I'm guessing it's going to be August. That was the last date that I've heard, is going to be August. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Again, we put all of our public meeting information on the City of Columbia City, Indiana Facebook page. Please follow that if you've not done that. And further, they will be obviously deciding the financials. So we have had our financial advisor walking alongside us in this process to determine how much of the food and beverage tax is going to take, if there's any kind of leftover, like we're going to have to fill a gap or things to that effect. And again, this is with no, let's say, free money or grant money or sponsorship money or anything like this. So I won't say I'm 100% confident, but I'll say I'm pretty confident that it's not going to end up being $6 million. So that's what I'll say about that. Last question I had, and again, if you have questions regarding the amphitheater, please put it in the comments. Becky, I haven't forgotten about you. I'll get back to you on the sidewalk issue. And the other question I had was, how big is this thing going to be? So from a seating capacity standpoint, okay, and keep in mind seating capacity is really based on the lawn. It's based on how many seats, if you will. And there's really two sides of this amphitheater. We're going to have a west side that's going to be effectively level with the ground there. This is the side that will be facing the swing set that's there. There's the plans are for having two additional swing sets there, but because man, they're being used a lot. But nevertheless, that kind of flat side, if you will, the west side of the amphitheater, it can hold about 350 people, if you will, and that's again just all lawn seating. That's not built-in seating, that's just lawn space. And I'll say the other piece of that is, like, I think that side of the amphitheater is really going to be used more for small events, going to be used for, outdoor weddings or family get-togethers, reunions, different outdoor type events. Like, I think that's what that side really is kind of geared toward personally. And then you have the larger side, which is the eastern facing side. That eastern facing side has roughly, they're looking at about a seating capacity of about 1,800 people there. Now, if I were a citizen, I am a citizen, but if I were somebody who was not involved in this project, a couple questions I'd ask. Number one is where are people going to park? I think that's a very valid point. I think we have all of the parking in the regular parking lot there. And then we also have a lot of room behind the old, like the football field, if you will, in all of that grassy lot, and be able to curve around. I think we're going to try to utilize multi-tiered, if you will, ways in which to park people for. Now, I won't say we'll never get to 1,800 people for this venue, but we do have the capacity for it. In that realm, I will say there's a front part of it that's kind of right up to the stage to about halfway up, and that will have some terraced seating, and that would be, I think it's going to be concrete or something, but there's going to be like blocks, if you will, that if you want to sit your lawn chair right up against it, you can do that. Or if you want to sit on the actual concrete blocks, you can do that too. So that's that kind of terrace seating. And then behind it's going to be a lawn. And the way I guess I kind of think about it, it's not a real good comparison, but if you've ever been to Ruoff Mortgage Amphitheater in Noblesville, again, not trying to be Noblesville, but those kind of things, if there's a lawn seating there, it's going to have kind of that same feel and does have the ability to expand in the future. I don't know that we ever will, but it does have that ability. So that's seating. Rob said both parks need to be connected. I don't disagree with you at all. If we had the probably $15 million it would take to extend that road from North Street all the way over to Morshes Park, I hope 15 would be enough, but I think that would be a priority project for us. The problem is it's going to be way too much money. And to start off with, I mean, it is in the plans futuristically, but I'll also say that the way we've phased this project is we've kind of done the first, like we're working on the first third, or let's say the westernmost third of the park land. So that's why we've worked on skate park, amphitheater, pickleball courts, things like that, right? And then we'll move to the central, well, I won't because I won't be here, but somebody else will probably move to the central part and work on the old football field. And, if they want to have an indoor athletic facility, or if they want to do something different, then that's an option with the outdoor athletic fields. And I'm trying to remember everything that was in the plans. And then the last phase of that would be the wooded area where you have ropes courses and a potential canoe and kayak launch and an overlook, and certainly the end of that road. So I think whoever goes to this next phase, or when they do the next phase, you will see the extension of that road into that second phase. And then the final phase, the third phase of the wooded area, that is where you'll see the connection between Morshes Park and Eagle Park. So that was a lot. And I'm really sorry that I droned on for that long, but I think it was really important to kind of know the baseline for that. Has this rolled out the way that I wanted? Absolutely not. A lot of that has to do with legality. A lot of that has to do with why we've had to do things in a certain way. But once the final plan is rolled out, you know that we will put this on social media, that we will push it out. It'll be in a public meeting. It'll be all those multiple public meetings, I'm sure. Lots of things like that. So think I've covered everything I really wanted to cover at this point. But as always, if you have questions about the amphitheater or any other project, you can contact me at rdaniel@columbiacity.net, 260-248-5111, or Ryan L. Daniel, Mayor Ryan L. Daniel on Facebook. Okay, so I'm going to get back. Thank you waiting so patiently, Becky. I'm hoping you waited. What are about sidewalks on Tower View? Great question, and very timely, actually. I did have a I'm sorry, I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to find my email real quick here. We had a engineering firm take a look at the cost of potentially putting sidewalks in on really two places as we look to next year's sidewalk improvement projects, okay? We looked at State Road 205 from basically Morses Park down to the Bowen Center, which is the section that is empty right now, and there are a fair amount of people that walk that section, as well as down Tower View Drive. And what we're I'll just be very candid with you, what we're kind of gearing toward currently is finishing the 205 sidewalk from Morses Park up to the Community Foundation and over to the Bowen Center. Okay. As you can tell, I've had a lot of things on my mind, so I apologize for the delay. So we are working on putting that together. So that project is going to be roughly, give or take, back of the napkin, probably $150,000 to $175,000 to get that last section filled. Okay. We did a preliminary analysis, preliminary estimate on what the cost would be for putting a sidewalk on Tower View from Hannah Street over to 205. The preliminary estimate right now is $524,000. Okay. It's not to say that we don't want to do it, and it's not to say we won't ever do it. However, from a financial standpoint, again, keep in mind, amphitheater funds are different than street funds, which are different than sidewalk funds, which are different than police funds, and so on and so forth. Again, another Lunch with the Mayor program I did way back about the different uses of funds and how we can use them. So I just say all that to say we did get a preliminary estimate on it. It was about $500,000 to go down Tower View Drive. I'm not saying it's a never. I'm just saying that I think it's going to take, we're going to have to set some additional money aside to do that. I would never have expected it to be that much. I would never have expected it to be $500,000 to be able to do that project. But knowing why, like I'll give you for instance, the concrete in and of itself was $164,000, which basically is equal to what the whole project is going to cost in that 205 section. So it is on our agenda. It is on our radar. It is something that we do want to get completed, but that is really the big holdup. Is it's a $500,000 project, and we appropriate, I think, about $100,000 for sidewalk and curb enhancements every year. And next year, I've already budgeted, although council has not approved it yet, but I have budgeted $200,000 for curb and sidewalk work. And that goes toward 50/50 sidewalk, toward our sidewalk enhancements like this, toward curb repair and replacement, things like that. So there's a lot of stuff on that, but nevertheless, I think hopefully that answers your question. So, by the way, if you're watching and you have any other questions about anything else, please feel free to comment on live here, and I'm happy to answer those questions. Unfortunately, my Word program is failing me right now, so I'm going to give you a couple of things. Let's see if it'll restart for me. Number one, remember to sign up for Rave Alerts. It's the best way to figure out whether the aquatic center is full or whether there is, rainouts of different events, or whether it's, we have a public safety issue happening or whatever the case is. If you want to know when this program is going to happen or any of that stuff, please sign up for Rave Alerts. You can go to our city website, columbiacity.net, and you can see all of that information and sign up for what you want to sign up for. If you only want to sign up for Lunch with the Mayor programs and emergency alerts, then you can do that. Emergency alerts, though, isn't automatic. So if you sign up for anything, that is the one thing you will get. Next limb pickup is August 3rd. Whitley County Solid Waste is hosting a tire amnesty event through July 17th. You can have 25 car truck tires maximum. So just show up to the Solid Waste District. I would suggest maybe taking your ID to prove that you are a Whitley County resident or Columbia City resident. But nevertheless, that's happening at the Whitley County Solid Waste District. US 30 lane closures, I believe, are completed now. So that was good. Actually, that was a lot less hassle than I thought it was going to be. So thanks for your patience on that. JFL signups, Junior Football League signups are happening now through July 17th for students of 3rd through 6th grade. Aquatic Center is open. I will tell you the last weekday, so Monday through Friday, the last weekday will be August 7th, and the last official day currently is August 23rd. Now, I say currently because there are times where our lifeguards will abandon ship early because they need to get ready for college or high school or whatever the case is. And sometimes we just don't have enough staff to open. We have a minimum lifeguard count we have to have in order to open. And we try our best to keep it open through that August 23rd timeframe. I give the caveat if for some reason we have to end early, it's not because of want of trying. It's because usually of staffing issues. So. Reminder, fireworks are now over in Columbia City. I feel like we go through this every year. Every year we talk about how the state mandates a certain amount of days we have to allow fireworks in the city limits. Some people love that. Some people hate that. We follow that state guideline. The only thing I think we're outside of those bounds a little bit is Memorial Day and Labor Day, and that was because of citizen requests. But nevertheless, the state and local firework allowance dates are now over. That ended yesterday. So you are not allowed to fire fireworks from here until Labor Day in the city of Columbia City. Okay. And if you have a problem with that, if you want it to be more days, then you need to talk to your city council representative. If you want it to be less days, you need to talk to your state representative, state representative or senator. They're the ones that set the minimums. So. Okay, let's get to events. I am at 8 minutes left, and I can't believe how quick this went. I'm sorry that I'm a long-winded individual, but hopefully you learned something today about the amphitheater, Eagle Park, the way we do the project, the bonding, all that kind of stuff. And again, once I have those final details, I'm happy to share those with all of you. So tomorrow we have the grand reopening of the Junction Cafe and Home Decor at 207 West Van Buren. That's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tomorrow is Columbia City High School Marching Eagles fundraiser at Andy's Car Wash. I think that starts around 11 a.m. July 17th to the 23rd is the Whitley County 4-H Fair. Go get your shakes. I saw a chocolate peppermint. I don't know if they've done that in the past, but that is totally my jam. Peppermint anything, I'm totally on board. So anyways, you may see me down there on chocolate peppermint night for the shakes. I'm sorry, I always say ice cream. It's shakes. August 7th. August. Let me back up. Try again. August 1st is Flapjacks and Furniture. That's the 90-year celebration at Reinhold's Furniture from 8 to 10:30 a.m. August 1st is the Whitley Resource Fair at Indian Springs Middle School by the Woodlands Center. That's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. August 1st is the Wheels of Whitley County Car Show, 5 p.m. here in downtown. August 7th is the First Friday event. I believe it's going to be circus or carnival themed. So that's kind of cool. August 15th and 16th is the 72nd Annual Mizpah Shrine Charity Horse Show from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. August 16th is Andy's Car Wash, their 55th anniversary. Congratulations on that, as well as Reinhold's for 90 years. August 20th is the 2026 Whitley Chamber Golf Outing, Birdies, Beers, and Barbecue at Eagle Glen. I think that's the start time of 9 a.m. September 4th, First Friday, and Movie on the Square. We have the Movie on the Square poll going on right now. And for that movie on the square, we have 4 movies. We have Princess Bride, Sandlot, Wreck-It Ralph, and the Lego Movie. So as of last I counted, I think we had like maybe 200 or 300, probably 200 and some responses, I believe, at this point. So get your responses in. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go back to my mayor profile and scroll down a little bit, and you'll be able to find the poll for the next movie on the square, which is, by the way, done in conjunction with, like I said, with First Friday and with Columbia City Connect. I do think we're going to start at 8:30 instead of 9. That way people can kind of get out of there a little bit earlier, to make sure kids get home safely and stuff. I will tell you, I think I just, based on the numbers I've seen so far, I don't want to give up anything, but the older movies are blowing by the newer movies right now. So that's all I'll say. The older movies are blowing by the newer movies right now in the voting. So you can tell who's voting right now, and I don't think it's kids as much as it is millennials and Gen Xers and maybe boomers too. So anyways, I'm excited about that personally, but that's my own thing. So September 11th is the 7th annual City Auto Mall Cornfield Cruise In from 6 to 9 p.m. September 12th is the Cam Run 2.8 Run Walk and 5K for Riley Hospital for Children. That starts at the Fire Museum here in Columbia City at 9 a.m. September 12th, Columbia Township 75th anniversary celebration at the Columbia Township Fire Department from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And September 12th, Prison Fest in downtown Columbia City at 3 p.m. I will say one other thing. I was going to mention it here, and I've got to remember what I was. Oh, I know. Okay. So I will tell you that on July 29th and 30th, you may see a little bit more of an influx of out-of-town vehicles here. I am very honored to be the president of, well, actually, wait, it's that way. There you go. President of, it's on this side. Nope, it's on this side. President of the 2026 president of Accelerate Indiana Municipalities, basically cities and towns across the state. Very honored to have that post. I think I've talked about that in the past a little bit. But we are going to be hosting the board of directors here in downtown Columbia City. And I'm excited to host them here to show off our community, to bring in some people who maybe have never been to Columbia City. They get to see our little slice of heaven here. And so I'm excited about that. But that'd be the night of the 29th and really the morning of the 30th. So we'll have some hotels that'll be full, and we'll have some restaurants that'll be booming. So that's exciting. We're happy to welcome them and appreciate all the work from AIM, Accelerate Indiana Municipalities, AIM, as well as my assistant Ashley, who have been just coordinating that whole project. It's going to be great to have those people come and look at our community and probably come back and visit someday. So that's exciting. With that, last call for questions if you're on the live stream here, and again, if you're on YouTube, you can contact me directly. Chris says, fair time, shakes everywhere. All diets are off that week. Yeah, I would say so. Maple Shakes is Keith Roman's shake of choice. And I think most people would say, well, not most, a lot of people would say maple is their favorite as well. So in any case, I just want to thank you for, again, allowing me to continue to lead our community. I have gotten, just on a personal note, I've gotten a lot of very, very kind comments about me choosing not to run for re-election, and that's very kind of people. Hi there, Jamie. I have a lot of confidence in the future of our city. I've been very blessed and honored to be able to lead our city for the last 15, next year will be 16 years. And I have a lot of confidence in the future. I am, so, on a personal note, like I said, I'll tell you, I'm not leaving Columbia City. I'm going to continue to be here. Oh yeah, Joey, I'll get there. We're not going to leave. We're not going anywhere. We are excited to continue to be a part of this community long into the future. I don't know what my next career is going to be. We'll see what door God opens for me. But really appreciate all the very, very kind things that you all have said. Thanks, Rob. I am not running for reelection. I stick to my word on that for sure. So, Joy though brought up something that I didn't mention, which is yeah, Five Below is coming to Columbia City. I did get that confirmed. I think I maybe pseudo confirmed that in a previous one, but yes. Five Below is coming to Columbia City. I know last I had looked, so it's going to be in the Kroger shopping plaza there. Last time I looked, they were working on a lot of different things inside the windows, so that's kind of a cool thing. That'll be another shopping option for our residents, which is really great. Keith, there is zero chance that I will run for president, unless I'm running for maybe president of the Big Meow fan club or something like that. So in any case, thanks everybody for tuning in. I so appreciate you. I appreciate this community. I just want you to know so much that that me and my team talk consistently about just what a great community we have, and not because that you agree with me or that you disagree with me, but just that we continue to look toward the future. We continue to find ways to make our community better, and that's not necessarily government specific. It's nonprofits. It's local restaurants. It's local businesses. It's local citizens that are trying to make their neighborhood or their neighbors or their families or whatever just better. And so I want to thank you all for doing that, being a part of this project and this project that we call society and civilization. And I just want to encourage you that as we get into the heat of summer, I want to encourage you to just try to keep a positive outlook. There's a lot of negativity and a lot of things out there. I'm not talking, by the way, it's not my comment about the amphitheater stuff. It is what it is. But a lot of negativity in general out there about political differences or ethnic differences or language differences or things like that. And again, as I said in my address for the time capsule, like, America's melting pot makes us better. And so I want to encourage you to be positive force in your life, in your family's life, in your work life, and certainly in our community. And I want to thank you for doing that in advance. So thank you. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, everybody. Paul, Gene, you guys are all just very kind. Appreciate that. I want to just thank you all for tuning in today. As always, keep your head up. Here's your dad joke of the day, and that is, why is Cinderella terrible at soccer? And the answer is because she keeps running away from the ball. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy summer. Bye-bye, everybody.